What's the outstanding balance at the end of the first year? 80,000. Every year, how much he has to pay? 20,000 plus interest. How much outstanding balance amount? 88,000. 10% of 88,000 is 8,000. Whatever the difference between the hire purchase price and the cash price is considered as interest. The total interest will be added. If the purchaser is not in the position to pay any installment, he may agreed with the seller to terminate the contract. Hello my dear students, I am Dr. B.S. Subramanya, called by name Dr. B.S.S., Professor in Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Year College, a Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Today in this session, I am going to hand a chapter, Financial Accounting 2, second semester unit 6 session 1 in favor of a chapter called Hire Purchase Accounting. I am going to explain what do you mean by hire purchase accounting, what are the features of hire purchasing account, the difference between hire purchase and a sale, and also the difference between hire purchase and install. These are all the important points to be bear in mind. So we will go through now. See the wording. Hire purchase system is a special system of purchase and sale of goods under which the purchaser gets the possession of the goods on the date of signing the agreement and legal ownership of the goods he transfers only after the payment of cash price of the goods with interest in a number of installments. So, hire purchase system is a credit purchases where the goods passes from a hire seller to the hire purchaser. So he will pay the down payment. The balance will be paid in a number of installments. Till the last installment is paid, the ownership lies with the seller. But goods passes from seller to the buyer, hire seller to the hire purchaser. But only possession of the goods. Here is the possession of the goods, but on the date of signing the agreement, but the legal ownership lies with the hire seller till the last installment is paid. Every installment includes cash price plus interest, cash price plus interest. For example, if the cost of the machinery is 1 lakh and the down payment is 20,000, balance is 80,000. This 20,000 does not contain the interest. 80,000 is going to pay for 4 installment. Each installment 20,000. Interest 10%. How they are going to pay now? What is the outstanding balance at the end of the first year? 80,000. Every year, how much he has to pay? 20,000 plus interest. How much outstanding balance amount? 80,000. 10% of 80,000 is 8,000. He is going to pay 20,000 plus 8,000, 28,000 in the first year. Then out of 80, 20,000 gone means it is 60,000. So 10% of 60,000 is 6,000. 20,000 plus 6,000, 26,000. Now 20,000 gone. Balance 40,000. So 10% of 40,000 is 4,000, 20,000 plus 4,000. It goes like this. Then the special feature of hire purchase system is that the payment of every installment treated as payment of hire charges by the purchaser to the hire vendor till the payment of last installment. Okay. So if till the last installment paid, it is called hire charges. After the payment of the last installment, the amount of various installment paid is appropriated towards the payment of cash pay. All the installment prices will be added, excluding the interest, and interest for the unpaid balance of the cash price of the goods. Under this system, the legal ownership will be passed on to the hire purchaser only after the all installment is paid. Till the last installment is paid, the hire seller is the owner, whereas the hire purchaser is not the owner till the last installment is paid. Then we'll move on. What are the features? What are the characteristics of hire purchase? First one, it is a system of credit purchases, not cash purchases. It is a credit purchase. The cash price of goods under hire purchase system is paid in installment with interest. It is paid in number of installment with interest. On the date of purchase, the hire purchaser gets only the possession of the goods and not the legal ownership. At the time of purchase, only goods he got, the legal ownership will be transferred after the last installment is paid. Then, the legal ownership of the goods will be passed on to the hire purchaser only after the last installment is paid. Till the last installment is paid, hire seller is the owner. The hire purchaser has a right to use the goods as a bailor. He can use the goods as a bailor. Now, the hire purchaser has a right to terminate agreement at any time. If he is not in a position to pay the installment, he can terminate the agreement. If there is a default in the payment of any installment, if the hire purchaser is not in the position to pay any one of the installments, the hire vendor will take away the goods from the position of the purchaser without refunding him any amount. The installment already paid by hire purchaser and treated a mere charges for the goods by the hire purchaser till the date of repossession. By chance, if the hire purchaser is not in the position to pay any one of the installment, the hire seller can take back the goods. Whatever the amount the hire purchaser already paid goes in favor of the seller. So it's a loss to the purchaser but gain to the seller. I will repeat. The hire purchaser already paid down payment. First install, he has to pay the balance of 4 installment. First he pays the down payment. Then he pays the first installment. He pays the second installment but fails to pay the third installment. Whatever amount already paid by the hire purchaser, that goes in favor of the hire seller because hire purchaser is a defaulter. The total amount payable by the hire purchaser to the hire seller called the hire purchase price. The amount payable by the hire purchaser to the hire seller is called hire purchase price, which is more than the cash price of the good. It is more than the cash price of the good. The difference between the hire purchase price and the cash price is treated as an interest. The amount paid as a hire purchase and the cash price, the difference is called interest. So he has to pay more. Every installment he has to pay the cash price plus interest, cash price plus interest. Then move on. Important terms used in the hire purchase system. Number 1, hire purchaser. Hire purchaser means the person who purchase an asset under hire purchase system. Then hire vendor, seller. Hire vendor is a person who sells the goods on hire purchase system. Then cash price. Cash price of an asset is the price payable on the outright purchase of that asset. Then hire purchase price. Hire purchase price is a price payable for the purchase of an asset on hire purchase system. It includes the cost price of the asset plus interest payable on the unpaid balance and cash price of the asset. Hire purchase means it includes cash price plus interest on the outstanding balance. Total interest. The total interest is the sum total of interest for all the installment. It is the difference between the hire purchase price and the cash price of the asset. It is also referred as to the hire purchase charge. So, whatever the difference between the hire purchase price and the cash price is considered as a interest. The total interest will be added. Down payment. Down payment or advance payment means the advance paid by the hire purchaser on the date of signing the hire purchase agreement. As per the hire purchase, some amount should be paid as a down payment. The balance will be paid in a number of installments. First, he has to pay the down payment on taking away the goods. The balance will be paid in number of installments as per the agreement between the hire purchaser and the hire seller. Net cash price. It refers to the difference between the cash price of the goods and the deposit, that is the down payment. After the down payment. This is a common question they will ask. Difference between sale and hire purchase system. In case of sale, the ownership of the goods passes from seller to the buyer. In case of sale, the ownership passes from seller to the buyer. In case of hire purchase, ownership passes only from hire seller to the hire purchaser. Only the last installment is paid. The purchaser fails to pay the price of the goods, the seller cannot take back the goods. If the purchaser fails to pay the goods, the seller cannot take back the goods. If the hire purchaser fails to pay any of the installment, the hire seller can take back the goods. Here he can take back the goods. Here he cannot take back the goods. In case of sale, the goods cannot be returned by the buyer. So, in case of sale, the goods cannot be returned by the buyer. In case of hire purchase, the goods can be returned by the hire purchaser. In case of sale, the price of goods is paid in one lump sum, either immediately or after some time. Here, lump sum payment can be made in the sale, where in case of hire purchase, the price of the goods is paid not in one lump, it will be paid in the number of installments. Here, it cannot be paid in the lump sum, it can be paid in number of installments. In case of sale, the buyer position is like that of a owner. So, in case of sale, the buyer position just like a owner. In case of hire purchase, the hire purchase position like that of a BACHELOR. Whether it's a cash sale or a credit sale, the purchaser is required to pay only the cash price of the goods. Here he has to pay only cash price of the goods. Here, the hire purchase is required to pay cash price plus interest of the various installments. Here plus interest has to pay. Here no interest is there. A sale is subject to levy GST at the time of contract of sale. The GST will be leviable at the time of transfer of ownership. At the time of transfer of ownership only, GST has to pay. Here at the time of sale itself, the GST has to pay. This is a very common question. They are going to ask an examination. Difference between hire purchase system and some. I will require all the students. You will go through these notes, which is definitely helpful from the examination point of view. Definitely this will ask for 10 marks. Hire purchase system and installment system. It is an agreement of hiring and governed by Hire Purchase Act of 1972 Act will be governed. It is agreement of sale. It's agreement of hiring and governed by Goods Sale of Goods Act of 1930. This is Hire Purchase Act. It's a Goods Act. Ownership is transferred by seller to buyer only after the payment of all installment. So he will become only owner after the last installment is paid. Ownership is transferred by the seller. Ownership will be transferred by seller, buyer immediately on signing the agreement. At the time of signing the agreement, the buyer itself becomes the owner. Possession of the buyer is like a bailee till the last installment is paid. Possession of the buyer is like that of a owner. The hire seller can take back the goods if the buyer fails to pay any of the installment. If the buyer fails to pay any one of the installment, the seller can take back the goods. The installment seller cannot take back the goods if the installment purchaser fails to pay any of the installment. If any of the installment fails to pay by installment purchaser, installment seller cannot take back the goods. Fifth one, the purchaser can return the goods and terminate the agreement any time before the last installment is paid. If the purchaser is not in the position to pay any installment, he may agree with the seller to terminate the contract. The purchaser cannot return the goods to the seller. Any loss occurring to the asset has to be borne by hire seller. If there is any loss on the goods, should be met by whom? Hire seller. Any loss occurring on the asset has to be met by installment purchaser. Here, seller, here, purchaser. The buyer has no right to dispose or sale of the asset as he is not the owner. As the purchaser is not the owner, till the last installment is paid, he has got no right to resell the goods to anybody. Here, the buyer has the right of disposal or sale as he is the legal owner of the sale. In case of installment term, at the time of signing the agreement itself, he becomes the owner. He can resell the goods to anybody. Means he can sell the goods to anybody. The risk of bad debt is less here. The risk of bad debt is more. Very simple. Very, very simple. So, hire purchase system, at the time of signing the agreement, you have to make the down payment, which does not include the interest. The balance will be paid number of installment. Each installment includes cash price plus interest. So, he will become the owner only after the last installment is paid. Here, in the case of installment, at the time of signing the agreement, if we pay the down payment, the ownership will be transferred from seller to the buyer. This is very important. The difference between hire seller and hire purchase, difference between sale and hire purchase, they ask from the examination of point of view, the difference between hire purchase and installment is more. So in hire purchase, there are two parties. One is called hire seller and is called the hire purchaser. Goods passes from seller to the buyer. So the only the goods passes, the legal ownership lies with the seller till the last installment is paid. Once the last installment is paid, the rate of the goods passes from seller to the buyer. But in the case of installment, it is not so. At the time of agreement itself, that is down payment time, the legal ownership will be transferred from seller to the buyer. In the case of hyper system, the buyer cannot resell the goods. In the case of installment system, he can resell the goods. Very important. From the examination of point of view, they will ask one question, difference between hire purchase and installment, or sometimes they may ask for small question, hire purchase and sale. But 99% they will ask for 10 marks, difference between hire purchase and sale. Hope you understand. In the next session, we'll move with the problem of hire purchasing. Till then, goodbye. Meet in the next session with a problem.